And we are live. So, hello everyone out there. Welcome to this amazing session on starting out with front end development from beginner to advanced. And today, to tell you about it, we have our coach Rajesh. So, Rajesh, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about your journey?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Rajesh Sharma, and I'm currently working with SHL. I'm working here as a front-end developer.
Right.
So like the primary framework, like if you ask, I work on is React.js.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All
So,
right.
mhm.
So, Rajesh, can you quickly tell us about what got you into the world of full stack development? Why were you interested in it? Why front end development?
Okay, so in my second year of college, I guess I came across an online course
Right.
that was about full stack development.
Mhm.
It was basically using Node.js and EJS templates and all. So I started learning web development from there.
Right.
And there I started I found it really interesting and like I wanted to learn more. So I learned Angular. After that, I got a job in React.js,
All
and
right.
yeah, that's how my journey began.
Right. Seems a little ironic that you say you prepared in one framework and you got a job in another framework. But
Yeah, actually,
anyways, so do you have any tips for college students? Like just as you said, when you were in college, you enrolled in a course and then your interest sparked. So do
yes,
you
yes,
have any advice for college students for the same?
yeah. So, there are a few
Hmm.
points that college students can focus on. First
Right.
of all, they should be working on their skills apart from the
Hmm.
academics. They should be working on practical skills. Like
Absolutely.
they can work on projects. They can build their own projects. They should focus on DS Algo because as a
Absolutely.
fresher, companies only focus on DS and Algo. So DS Algo should be really good. And uh, you must have your GitHub profile. You can put your projects over there. So any like the recruiters can come and look at your code, and they can see like you have coded, you can code,
Right.
and you can build up your portfolio by you can show all your projects, what projects you have done, and
Right.
like that. And lastly and most importantly, you can the students should I I would recommend them that they should go into some online course. They should take
Right.
some online courses, so that really helps them to get that practical knowledge
Right.
that's totally different from the knowledge that they are getting from the college.
Right, absolutely. And that is what one of our goal with Board Infinite is, that we give applied set of learning to the learners, right? Not just the
Yes,
theory
yes,
part. We connect them with the industry professionals so that you people can directly tell what all actual work you do.
right,
So
right.
Rajesh, you were talking about the importance of GitHub profile in projects. So would
Hmm.
you like to suggest some projects depending upon, the level of the person, from easy
Hmm.
projects, medium projects, and some hard projects maybe?
Hmm. So uh, uh, one project can be like you can clone any website you like,
Right, right.
and it depends on you, like what level of simplicity or uh, what we can say, like you can, it can be very simple
Right.
or it can be a really complex website. So you can start with a simple website, just copy the HTML CSS and like the basic
Right,
layout. So that should be pretty basic. And then you can start copying the functionalities, different functionalities. So
right.
in that case you can build up on different parts of the website, and
Mhm.
the complexity will also get increased.
Right.
And uh, apart from that, this can be applied anywhere from basic level to an advanced level.
Mhm.
Okay, and then you can build a personal websites, a personal website where you can show your portfolio or your resume. Just in basic terms, you can build your show your resume in a form of in a form of a web app. You can be
Right, right.
creative and add different elements to that. And there are a few games that you can actually develop using JavaScript.
Right.
So that's one project. And you should be like the student should be comfortable with CRUD operations. They should be having knowledge about CRUD operations: create, read, uh, update, and delete. So for that, they can create some projects like a to-do list or a
Mhm.
task note taking notes application,
Right. Right.
where they can come and create notes and edit them. So they can add multiple features according to their imagination, but the basic features
Right.
should be there. The CRUD operation should be there.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
then there are a lot of public APIs available on the internet. You can consume those APIs and then create your projects by consuming those APIs, just by that so that you show that you know how to consume an API, how to use API properly, and show the data on the web app.
Right. Right. All right. So in the advanced part of all these projects, you are talking about web apps. So is a web app different from a website?
No, web a web app, you can say an application that works on a web.
All
So
right.
an application is a fully fledged website with some
Right.
functionality, you can
All
say.
right. All right. And can you also shed some light on, you were talking about APIs. So can you explain to a layman what the API is and how should they use it?
So API is something that works as a mediator between backend and the backend or server and the client.
Right.
So the CS guys must be aware of the client server architecture.
Right.
So whenever you are visiting a website, your browser is a client, and there is some server from where the browser is fetching some data. So the mode of transport between these two is basically API. So
Right.
first of all, like the server sends all the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and after that, all the like in all the modern applications where we use single page applications, all the data comes in APIs. Like
Right.
we make API calls that goes to the server and tells it that this is the data that we want,
All
and
right.
then server sends that data in the response. So then we can utilize that response and populate our content accordingly. So that's what API is. So
All right. Yeah, amazing. So Rajesh, would you like to tell us about a day in your life? What's a typical day of a full stack engineer or a front end engineer looks like? How do you start your day? How do you end it? And what all components are there?
sure.
Yeah,
So I think this is the case with all the developers. So
right.
our day starts with a Scrum meeting,
All
daily
right.
Scrum call. So it starts with like at around 11 o'clock, and like the Scrum meeting is where you actually share your daily updates and what you are currently working on, what you have planned for the day, and what you worked on the last day. And if you are facing any challenges or hurdles, you can discuss that in that meeting. And after that, you're free to like work on your own pace on your assigned tasks.
All right.
So uh, a few like there are times when we have multiple meetings scheduled, and apart from meetings, then we have our own time to like work on the tasks.
Right.
So yeah, in a particular day, I would say we code around 3 to 4 hours.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think college students must be happy thinking that you need to code only 3 to 4 hours a day. But can you tell us about the meetings, like you told about the middle of the day meeting, not the Scrum
Mhm.
ones? So
Mhm.
what goes into those meetings? Like what all things you discuss? Like do you discuss the website design or the system design or what?
It can be about anything. Like there can
All
be
right.
technical discussions. There
Mm-hmm.
can be like some internal company matters or some
Right.
like anything like that.
All right.
But mostly these are technical discussions around business logics and
All
designs
right.
and all. Yeah.
Amazing. So, Rajesh, nowadays we are moving into skills era. People are focusing more and more on skills, right?
Yeah.
So, but talking about actual industry, like does CGPA and your college tier matters?
Uh, it matters in the initial phase of your career. It does
Right,
matter, but it in the only in the initial phase of matters, but
right,
initial phase of your career. But there are companies that uh, totally disregard CGPA and
right,
the tier of your college. And even I am from a tier 3 college,
right,
so I am working in a good a product based organization,
right.
so it does not matter at later point of time. And even in the starting, there are companies which do not pay attention to, like, do not pay much attention to these things.
Right, absolutely. And I believe computer science is the most open field in terms of CGPA or your college. Like, if you
Right,
have
right, right.
your skills, you can showcase in any kind of hackathon. There are multiple
Correct.
platforms online because, yeah, we understand that if there is a person is a mechanical engineer, surely he cannot spend much amount of money building their project and showcasing it. But in case of
Yes.
computer science, you can build your portfolio and tell
And
it to the world like you are a capable developer.
yes, yes, correct.
Amazing. Right. So, would you like, on a lighter note, on the other side, would you like to tell us about your hobbies? How is the work-life balance and all?
My hobbies include gaming. Like,
Right. Mhm.
I only game in my free time. Otherwise, I'll watch movies and all.
Right.
So that's what I do in my free time, and yeah, that's
Right.
pretty
So,
much.
does it ever happen that as a software engineer or as a full stack developer, while
Mhm.
you're visiting a website or maybe you're playing a game, and then back of the head you're like, हाँ यार इसका कोड तो ऐसे हो सकता था. Does it
This
ever occur
happens.
to you?
It
Right.
happens a lot of time. It,
Right.
like, even when we are
Mhm.
sleeping, it happens.
Definitely. Right. So do you dream in codes?
No,
All right, absolutely.
not at that stage of my life right
I
now.
just read that ridiculous case study that there is a German 11-year-old prodigy programmer, and he also dreams in codes only, and then he renders them all. Funny
Wow,
thing.
that's
All
sweet.
right. Yeah. So I just wanted to ask that apart from academics, what do you think that constitutes for one's success in the field of full stack development or front end development? Like having academics is one thing, but what all other things can a person work on?
Like I told in the first question only, like a DSLO
Right.
and the practical knowledge,
Absolutely.
uh, the knowledge of the language or the framework you are working on. You should be having a vast knowledge of that particular thing.
Right. Right.
And
So nowadays there is this trend that people talk about emotional intelligence or communication skills a lot.
yes,
So
yeah,
how much is it true for the tech industry as well? Because techies have a bad reputation for being bad communicators or maybe not being so much social. So what's your take on that?
yeah, communication is definitely an important
Mhm.
part. Like, if you'll not be able to communicate properly, you will not be like, you'll face a lot of issues.
Right.
Like, if you are facing some hurdles in your code only, and you are not able to communicate it properly to your manager, then
Right.
he'll not be able to help you. So, like,
Absolutely.
this is one scenario. There can be multiple scenarios like that. So, like,
Mhm.
communication is really important. And in service based companies, you have to communicate, you have to deal with the client directly,
Absolutely.
and there you cannot communicate in Hindi.
Mhm. Right.
So,
Absolutely.
it's an important part
Right.
also.
So just like you told about communication, that it is also one aspect of being a developer, that it is a skill you need to have. What other kind of
Definitely.
challenges do you happen to face that, while moving from college to company, you're not ready for? Like, yes, you were ready for data structures, you were ready for building websites, but what all things were you not ready for? Or in general, that student face trouble in these fields while transitioning from college to company?
One thing is like communication is one thing.
Right.
Then apart from that, like the uh, corporate culture, like they are pretty new to the corporate culture,
Right.
so they take some time. like the freshers take some time to get used to it.
Mhm.
And in college you get a lot of time to roam around. Like even if your
Right.
college is of 9 hours, you get a lot of time to roam around, and
Right.
uh, you get a lot of free time. But in office you'll have to be sitting for 8 hours straight.
Right. Right.
But the things have changed in present scenarios. But
Mhm.
when we were going to office physically, we only got like 1 hour break. And
Right.
yeah, that's what people struggle in
Mhm.
initial days.
Right. Yeah. So I remember one of my friend, he got placed as a full stack engineer, and the first thing he called me is like, कि भाई GitHub पे ये मैं repo कैसे change करूँगा और how do I
uh,
commit the changes? So GitHub is
exactly.
also one thing people
GitHub is also.
face. Yeah, because
Yes, yes, yes,
college
yes.
project you are working individually on it, but yeah,
Yeah,
while
right.
working in a company, it's a all get different game. So can you tell
Yes,
me
yes.
about the approach while you're developing a website or something? How the structure is, how the framework goes in a company, like कैसे start up करते हैं, then how do you work on project, and then how do you deploy it?
So I would focus this answer towards GitHub,
Right.
so that like people get an idea how GitHub is utilized.
Mhm.
Okay. And yeah, GitHub is an important part,
Right.
because you should learn GitHub. I mentioned it in earlier as well. So what usually happens is, suppose I am assigned a task and I have to work on the task. Suppose it is a new feature that I have to add on the portal. So I'll get the designs, I'll get all the mockups and what I have to add, and I'll get a ticket assigned. So what happens is, there are different branches of our repository of our code. So there is a develop branch, so which is usually the branch we create our separate branches from. So whenever we are assigned different tasks, we create a new branch from that develop branch, and that is basically called a feature branch. So we start coding on our own branch, on that particular feature branch. We start coding, we start pushing the code, and once we are done with the functionality, we raise a PR.
Right.
PR is a pull request which goes to the reviewers, and reviewers actually reviews the code, and once it gets three approvals, it gets merged into the develop. And
All
once
right.
it is developed, it is merged into develop, it can be deployed on the dev environment, and there we can actually test it.
All right. Amazing.
And similarly, there are different branches for different higher environments, like QA and then UAT and production. So there are different branches for all those.
Right. Amazing. So, would you like to also shed some light on how the work culture or how your work is different in offline and in work from home? Like when you were visiting office, how different is it now?
uh, like you get a lot of freedom while
Right.
working from home, but with freedom, like you sometimes you are working like for long hours. You
Right.
have to work for long hours as well, because the productivity is not that much as
Right.
compared to when you are in the office. Because as you uh, when you are physically in the office, you are completely focused on the thing you are working on. But at
Right.
home, there are different things, there are a lot of things that distract your mind. So
Right.
your productivity that is not that uh,
Much higher.
much higher as
Yeah.
compared to the office. So that's
Right.
one challenge. And yeah, the flexibility is a key point here.
Right.
You can work anywhere, anytime you want.
Mhm. Yeah, so this reminds me the quote from Spider-Man that with great powers comes great
Great
responsibility. So
responsibility,
yeah,
right?
here with great freedom, here comes long working hours,
Yeah,
right?
correct.
Right.
And there are other challenges as well. Like
Mhm.
in when you are in office, suppose you have to discuss something, you are stuck somewhere, you have to discuss something with the designer.
Right.
So you can go straight to his bay or his seat and ask him like, what is how do we have to do this and all.
Right.
he can clear your doubts. But while working from home, you'll have to properly schedule a meeting, then wait for him for the meeting. And even though in your while you are interacting on the meeting, uh, it is totally different from a face-to-face conversation.
Right. Right.
So that's that's also a difference.
Absolutely. And the classic line, "Am I audible?" is a different struggle altogether.
That's
Right. You never
true.
know when you're explaining something and in middle of it you are just stuck out of the meeting and then you have to
Correct.
repeat the whole thing. It becomes frustrating after a while,
Correct.
definitely.
Correct.
And
Correct.
in fact, there we have heard that there are also slackers who are enjoying. They are just like saying, "Okay, the Wi-Fi is not working, or maybe the electricity is not there." So, does it ever happen that because of all these things, the burden is increased on the other member of teams?
Yeah, it happens sometimes. Suppose there is
Right.
some production bug, and at that time one of the team member is not able to work. So it happens that the other people will have to finish up that work.
All right, amazing. So now, would you like to mention anything, about freshers who are just starting out? What advice would you like to give them? How should they start? What all things should they study, which is bare minimum to get started as a, for any fresher job?
If I talk about full stack development or web development in general, so in that case, you can simply learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. That's the pretty basic thing that you have to learn. Like these three things are the pillars of web development.
Right,
So and that's the basic thing. Then you can pick any framework or library. Then you can like stepwise go on to learn backend technologies and database and all. Like
right.
this never stops. Learning never stops. But yeah,
Right.
that's pretty much.
Yeah, so I always give this analogy to learners that if you're building a website, it's like just constructing the home. So, the starting bricks and the pillars, that is like your HTML, where you give the
Right.
basic structure.
Right.
Then, when you paint the wall, it is like the CSS when you're
CSS.
decorating and, adding plasters and all. And then, when you're adding the circuits to the house, electricity, light, and water pump and all, this is all like JavaScript that you are adding some functionality.
Yeah.
And then just right now talking about this, I have one more connection that you can consider the powerhouse where the electricity is generated as a backend server, and the
Yes.
lines that join it to your home are working as a API. So is that correct?
Yeah.
Uh,
Absolutely correct. Wonderful.
right. Amazing. So Rishabh, sorry, Rajesh.
Rajesh.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, so
No
Rajesh, it
issues.
was great in interacting with you. Right. Any parting message would you like to give our learners?
Uh, yeah, it was great interacting with you
Right.
as well. First of all,
Mhm.
and I would like to uh, say to the students like stay motivated and
Right.
keep learning. And uh, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Absolutely. Stay motivated. That brings me to the last question that while coding, getting rid of the bugs, it is very frustrating and people just leave the way in between. So, how to stay motivated while coding? I think that can be the parting message for this session.
How can we stay motivated?
Right.
That's a pretty tough question,
Right.
actually. So, if you are stuck somewhere, suppose you are stuck on a bug, suppose you spend hours on it continuously. So, when you spend a lot of time continuously on something, your brain actually stops working. Like it does not work
Definitely.
properly. So you can go around, take a walk, take a nap, whatever uh, pleases you. Whatever you enjoy, do that thing for around half an hour or an hour. Take a break and then come back to the problem, think it
Right.
from the starting, and then you'll be able to find some way around. So
Right.
that's one thing I can say.
All right. Thanks a lot, Rajesh, for your valuable words. I hope the learners are going to use these insights in their career as well. Thanks a lot for joining. Yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right.
It was a great session. Thanks.